Welcome, everybody, to the One to Go show presented this week by Weir's Machine. So I'm sure many of you know Chad and the folks down there at Weir's Machine, weirsmachine.com. They do a great job. Next time you happen to be talking to them, thank them for supporting the One to Go show. I am Puka, once again joined by Bert Lehman and Ryan Aho. Looking good, guys.
Thanks.
My background looks a lot better than I do.
Yeah, your background looks pretty splendid. Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm a little bit jealous. So, all right, fellas, so we'll get into it. I think I was the only one to visit a track this weekend, and I stopped off at the Hibbing Raceway on Saturday night. And Devin Vanhouse, last year's Rookie of the Year in the Wazota Late Models, got the monkey off his back with the win. And a guy that we were a little hard on a couple weeks ago, Jay Kittner, who did not show up at the Twin Ports Twin 25s that we said was running good. Vanhouse stood outside pole and he was gone, and Jay actually tracked him down 2 other times, was probably an eyelash faster until the track kind of took rubber with maybe 5, 7, 10 to go, but he just couldn't quite get around him. Some lap cars got in there, but Jay was on a mission. I mean, he had a good straightaway on him, and Jay reeled him in. He was deep sea fishing, just reeled him in, but just couldn't complete the pass. So nice night of racing in Hibbing for both of those two gentlemen. Go ahead.
Hey, Pook, I want to mention too. I was pretty hard on Jay. I'm like, dude, why the hell is he not going to specials like the Twin 25s? Well, one thing that a lot of fans may not know is his whole pit crew basically left him. They run the Hibbing Raceway now. Well, so the Hibbing Raceway was big trouble last year. And I talked to Mark Trembruth, who's kind of one of the main guys at Hibbing. He's like, I ain't got no help. He goes, like, literally, we're working on the track. We're doing all this stuff. Like, Jay Kittner's got no pit crew anymore. He used to have like 400 guys in the pits. He's got like him, and that's it. So that's a little bit to it. But another guy I wanted to give a shout out really quick on that, Ben Heinley. I saw in the results, I'm like, he got third, and honestly, forgive me, but I'm thinking, man, it must have been locked down. Derek Vessel couldn't get around Ben Heinley. And I talked to Mark, who's related to Derek, and he runs the track. He's like, Derek couldn't catch him. He's like, Ben Heinley was fast. He ran a good race, and Derek actually, who's been in our power rankings, couldn't even get to him to try to pass him. So first podium finish for Ben Heinley. Congrats to him, and more to come. Looking forward to seeing him progress as a race car driver.
Yeah, he did have a good night. All right, Bert, lots of action in eastern Wisconsin over the weekend. The Dirt Kings Tour, we should say, saddled up and rode again. They've been out for a few weeks, and I guess you could take it over from there. I'd like to call it the Battle of Gettysburg at Plymouth, but you can go ahead and describe it whatever way you want.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but the next morning I found somebody who had the link to the video of the race, so I watched it Saturday morning, and all I could say after watching that race was, wow. It was nice to see some Western Wisconsin late model drivers make the trip over to Eastern Wisconsin. Jesse Glenz, the Hannestads, Eder, is that how you pronounce his last name?
Eder.
Was there?
Eder.
Okay. Yep. So it was nice to see them make the trip out east. But yes, it was quite the race. Actually, it was a really good race. I mean, you take these incidents out of it, it was still a really good race. I mean, they were passing high side, low side. Jesse Glenz won, but the story of the race was Mitch McGrath. We've talked about him a few times on here. He's the nephew of Russ Scheffler and the grandson of George Scheffler. So deep racing roots in that family. First incident came, I don't know, it was about mid-race, and he spun Jesse Glenz. I mean, basically just hit him in a corner, spun him out as, in the beginning of the backstretch. And I was surprised when both drivers got their spots back. And I know Ryan talked to Jason from Dirt King, so maybe Ryan wants to fill in what the call was.
Well, I talked to Jason, and he said, well, we didn't really get a good visual on that one. I'm like, man, you must not have been around Tom Nesbitt your whole life because he would have killed somebody. Like, literally, it was obvious. He drove right through him, spun around in a circle. I get it. You miss it once in a while. But as Nesbitt always says, you can't if there's a yellow, somebody's got to go to the back. Period. End of discussion. If they don't know who it was, both of them should have gone to the back. That would have been a tough break for Jesse Glenz because he got dumped. But the fact is, you can't penalize the whole crowd. You can't penalize the whole field. Somebody's got to go to the back. And he says, hey, we just missed that one. And the next one you're going to talk about, he said, well, that was a racing deal. I'm like, oh, my God, the guy keeps getting his spot back. But I'll let you touch on what happened next.
Yeah, well, then later in the race, Justin Reed, who's had some really great runs in Dirt Kings race, but he just can't get a victory. And it was looking like he might get the victory on Friday night at Plymouth. But then I know last week we talked about slide jobs. I don't know if this was a slide job that went bad or if it was just made contact. But anyway, McGrath was on the inside of Reed in corners 1 and 2 and, basically body slammed him, and Reed spun out. And I don't know if Reed was going to be put to the back or not, but Reed retaliated, waited for McGrath, and crinkled up his rear quarter panel pretty good before he left him.
The crowd went nuts. The crowd went nuts. They loved
it. And but yeah, I mean, McGrath got his spot back on that one. And then on the last lap in the same spot, 1 and 2, again, I don't know if it was a slide job that went wrong, but I mean, he basically slammed into the side of Nick Avalink in 1 and 2, forced Nick off the track, and Nick went nose first into the wall. Luckily, he was okay, and the car must not have been too bad because he was at Shawano the next night. But after the incident, apparently the police were called, and they came to the track, sirens blaring, and they were in the pit area. And afterwards, there was it was announced that McGrath was suspended for the rest of for this year for unsportsmanlike conduct from the Dirt King series. And there's also reports that he was flipping off the flagman or the crowd. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I mean, you should have. I don't know if you guys went to the Dirt Kings Facebook page, but you should have been reading all the comments. I just want to relay one comment just for Puka here. And it was something to the effect of flipping off the flagman and cops in the pits was a weekly occurrence for Tom Nesbitt.
It sure was. It sure was. So, hey, Bert, that 99, was that Reed? Was he 90?
99 is Mike Mullen.
Because he was fast as hell, too. Yeah. And then he actually monster trucked a lap car. I saw that on the video where he just went right over the top of him. And it turns out, I actually did some research. What he got suspended for was lack of social distancing. He was no social distancing whatsoever by McGrath. But I asked Jason, I'm like, how in the world can you possibly, suspend him for that? Like, you should have put him to the back in the first one. You should have put him to the back in the second one. Finally, in the third one, they called it on him, but then they screw over Nick Anvilink. They took the white flag. He comes in, he gets dumped on the last lap, and they don't even score Nick Anvilink. Like, if they're going to call it on McGrath, why not go back to the last completed lap and give Anvilink the spot that he was scored in on the last completed lap? That never made any sense to me. In fact, there shouldn't have been that shouldn't even been a race at the end anyway, because everybody had taken the white flag the time before that, and the yellow came out, so they should have checkered it there. So, and then they did the same thing, right? Because that was the second incident was with McGrath, was also on the last lap, correct?
That was his third incident.
The second one was also on the last lap. The third one was with Anvilink.
Yeah, the third one was with Anvilink.
The second one, didn't they take the white flag, and then they went green, white, checkered?
I don't know if that was for McGrath, if that was the Reed one, but yeah, there was a yellow right before, because even in the race results, they said that they would go green, white, checkered, which would mean that they would go an extra lap.
Yeah, which means they didn't do anything. There was no consistency, because they all took the white flag. Bam, there was an incident. They go yellow. They go green, white, checkered. They get back to the white flag. The same thing happens, and that time they checkered it. Right. So just, I mean, and here's the deal. This is no bearing on Plymouth, because Dirt Kings brings in their own officials, right? So Dirt Kings has their own officials that they mess that whole deal up. And so bad that Jesse Glenz, I said, dude, are you going Saturday and Sunday? He goes, them guys are freaking crazy. He goes, I am literally going to go home. I'm going to do body damage. I'm going to get my stuff ready. We got $5,000 to win at Mississippi Thunder and Cedar Lake. I'm going to get ready for that. I'm done with that whole deal. They are absolutely nuts, is what he said.
Yeah, it's just too bad, Bert, you referred to this because I was really impressed with Plymouth as far as the track and stuff. The racing was great. It is just too bad that Plymouth and Shawano can't work together. They both race on Saturdays. I'm sure the guys out there would love to be able to race at both tracks every weekend instead of having to make a choice. And it looks like a couple of drivers, took some notes at Cedar Lake the previous weekend, and I wanted to kind of be like the stars of the sport. But yeah, how about Jesse Glenz, huh? I mean, just what a stud. I mean, just goes out there. I mean, I'm assuming it might have been one of his first and only times at the track, and wins big. It wasn't even close. He, even on the green white checkered, he just took off. And I did want to make a comment too when I brought my 10-year-old son to the USA Nationals and we went down to his pit, and not only did he have pictures, he had window stickers and stuff. So I mean, he's really good for racing when he's winning. He's giving stuff to the kids. He's got pictures, got stickers. My brother said my nephew, as soon as he got home, he went to my sister-in-law's minivan and without even asking, stuck that Glenz sticker on there. Actually, I'm kidding. My sister-in-law, I know she listens to this whole show. She does not drive a minivan. She actually drives like a Ford Escape or something like that. So sorry, Jess, but I had to get that in. But on the serious note, he did. He just went and plastered that Glenz. So Glenn's got a fan for life.
Did you see on his Facebook page, Puka and Bert? He kind of did a neat little video on there. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
I didn't get a chance to look at it, but I heard. Yeah, go ahead, walk us through that.
Yeah, I'm just going to let everybody watch that. Just go to Jesse Glenz Racing, go to his Facebook page. He did kind of a little cameo deal. It's pretty cool. I mean, the guy's a lot of fun. You'll enjoy the heck out of it. But like you said, it's nice to have somebody that talented, but he's got the personality too. He's got a little flair to him. He's a lot of fun. Seems to have a really good head on his shoulders. So, it's good to see a young gun, I think, has a really bright future ahead of him in dirt late model racing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to add too that I may be missing something, but I was a little confused about how they lined up the feature because Jesse Glenz won his heat race from the pole, and then he started on the front row in the feature. Rick Hannestad won his feature from the pole, and he started like 8th or 9th. I always thought, and maybe they changed this, I always thought the top 4 in passing points were in a redraw, but I don't know how Glenz would have made a redraw and Hannestad not made a redraw. So, but like I said, maybe I'm missing something, but I was a little confused by that also.
And they do it different everywhere you go, right? So sometimes they'll have a passing point, and it could be 4, 8, 12, but a certain amount of cars that were so high up in passing points make the redraw. And that's something that tracks need to take note of. I think what they need to do is make it clear to everybody that's watching that, hey, this is how it's working tonight. So that way there is no confusion, but they must have regrouped top 8, 10, or 12, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they must have did something different than what I thought they were doing.
Yeah, one final comment here on this, and well, I mean, for me, and you guys can continue to comment, but where were the Western Wisconsin drivers? I mean, $4,200 to win. Now, they didn't know that the Wreckham Rodeo was coming at the point of traveling. Like I said, the track. Yeah, well, maybe they did. Maybe they saw some of those. Mitch was taking notes during the Herb Pierce incident, but had a clipboard out. But like I said, the track, looks great. I mean, it looks like a racy place. You race on the bottom, you can race on the top. For $4,200 to win, man. How was the weather, Bert, out that way? Was it threatening?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't threatening. We haven't had rain out here, except for a small shower here and there for probably a week and a half to 2 weeks. I mean, actually, we really need some rain out here. But no, the weather was good. the weather was good, and I was hoping that more Western guys would show up, but maybe they did think that 2020 is the year of the COVID, so. Who knows what's going to happen if we go there. But anyway, referring to the track, when Plymouth is prepared properly, it can produce some really great racing action. One of the best late model races I've ever seen there was a Dirt Kings race the year before the World of Outlaws started going to Plymouth. And that's part of the reason why the World of Outlaws do go to Plymouth now every year is because of the race that the Dirt Kings put on. For that race, Jason, it was over 4,000 to win. And, Billy Moyer Sr. was there. Jason Freger was there. Clanton was there. He had some big hitters there. Mars wound up winning the race. And, so when that track is right, it's a very good track to watch a race at.
There was some drama there, obviously a lot of drama. I'd like to thank McGrath for that because that gave us something to talk about. But in all honesty, that race was highly entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were moving all over the track. That was a awesome race. And obviously the drama, that's just good for the sport, right? I mean, it's not good for people's tan, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. I'm glad I got to watch it.
Well, yeah, agree. I mean, like I said, you take those incidents out of that race, it was still a great race to watch.
Well, that's what I think Wazota needs to take notice of. We've talked about this before. So I've got the winners on the year. Jake Tim, McGrath, John Canta, Sorensen, Glenz. So we got, I'm assuming Canta was in a completely legal Wazota car. We got Glenz in a completely legal Wazota car. We're gonna talk about some races coming up where Cedar Lake's tying in with the Dirt Kings now. 2 years ago, Cedar Lake had a Challenge Series race. They did in 18. They didn't in 19. But we're gonna, like I said, we'll preview this and see how this all works. But are they ever gonna think about a Challenge Series race again, based on kind of how this unfolds with the Dirt Kings? And like I said, we'll talk about that a little bit in the preview. Anything else on this, or do you want to move on to Gravity Park real quick, Bert, and just touch on that?
We can move on to Gravity Park quick. The Dirt Kings travel 2 nights later. On Sunday evening they travel to Gravity Park. Gravity Park's a fairly new racetrack within the last 3 years or so. It's a smaller racetrack. So late models haven't raced there until earlier this year. There was a race. But anyway, Kyle Redant, second-year late model driver from Shawano, won the feature at Gravity Park. $1,250 to win. It was a good victory for a young driver who's, it's always good to see young drivers find success, because if they don't find success, you're always worried that they're going to leave the division and go to like the modified division where they can race more often and whatnot. But anyway, Kyle Redant, he also won Saturday night at Shawano Speedway. So he had 2 feature wins this week. It's good for him. He's had kind of a tough sophomore year in the division. I know he lost at least 1 motor. Somebody posted it on Facebook. He lost 2 this year. So to get 2 wins is a good accomplishment, and brighten his season a little bit.
Anything for you, Ryan, or move on to Kentucky?
On to Kentucky. That was some great racing out at the North-South. Actually, why don't you start there, Puka? What did you take out of the North-South?
Well, just a few things. Mike Marlar is a guy I did get to speak to at Cedar Lake, and we talked to him. My brothers and I were talking. Obviously, he's been doing, dabbling in the asphalt thing, and he said, that thing's just too expensive. We're back, and boy, he showed he was back on Thursday night with a little tail slap on Overton, and took the win Thursday night. Also did a little tail slapping on Bobby Pierce on Friday night. I don't know if he broke early in the Saturday event, but Marlar, it was good to see him back and running well. Ross Bales, it looks like, was Ross Bales? Did we ever confirm? I couldn't really find anything. It looked like he was in an Earl Pearson backup car, possibly. I mean, seems like that guy's in a different car every week. He was in the number 1 car.
Was Ross Bales in that rent-a-car program?
Oh, there.
He was, but I haven't heard anything about that rent-a-car program.
I forgot about that.
The beginning of the year.
So I think he was in that rent-a-car deal for the North-South.
I forgot all about that. I think that was. So, yeah, Ross Bales, was there. And then, body parts, as far, not human body parts, but car parts all over the track on Saturday night. Pierce, and who else I got? Josh Rice, RTJ, Ryan having a great run, came up a little bit short.
Well, when you're ripping the cushion, right, and they're shredding the wall. I've seen Buzzy Adams, my human highlight reel, right? I've seen him for years. I mean, they ripped the right rear quarter panel off, the spoiler support. And, in fact, you remember Gundaker right before they went down to Fairbury, he had that
meter,
the side panel for his spoiler that had kind of like little levels on how much he was going to rip off. So them guys were shredding the top up there. And in the bottom middle was obviously the smoothest place to be. But if them guys could have hit it right on top, they were getting some wicked runs off the corner. But it was just one of those deals where it's a fine line. You're either in the fence or you're bolted, and sometimes it's a combination of both. And so there was a little bit of shrapnel there for sure.
Go ahead, Bert.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Josh Wright. I mean, not only did he lose his quarter panel, but his whole spoiler was missing.
Have you ever seen that?
by the end of the race. It actually I'm going to do a very quick story. When MJ McBride was racing at Anigo one time, there's a rule on the maximum height of the spoiler, but not the minimum height or something like that. So I don't know. He had the wild idea to lower the spoiler so it was level with the deck. After the race, he said, "Never again." So yeah, you knew that had to have been affecting Rice's car a lot at the end. And I mean, Ricky Thornton Jr. just continues to impress in a late model. It actually makes me a little sad that we didn't get to see him at Cedar Lake racing at the USA Nationals, because he probably would have put on a pretty good show there too. Right, Ryan?
Yeah, that was my pick. Yeah, sore subject on that one. That was my pick. And but yeah, you're right on that spoiler deal, by the way, because Rice got up. I think he was up into the top 5, and once that thing was gone, he had no downforce. He started sliding back, and that big blade on the back, that puts a lot of air down on the rear tires, and yeah, he paid for it for sure.
Yeah, and how about a big win for T-Mac? I mean, that was good to see. And I had got some insider info also at Cedar Lake that there's been some squabbling with the team owner, the crew, T-Mac. There's been some tension there. Obviously, they haven't run well. He hasn't won since the Stream. And then I heard a stat today. He hasn't won a Lucas race since like February. So this is his first Lucas race. So good to see him. I think it's good for racing. I mean, I think T-Mac's pretty good, got a pretty good following. He's a smiley guy. He's a good talker. He is a good interview. So I think it's good for racing that, he, back in victory lane. But how about JD? Just non-existent. Jonathan Davenport, the CLS whiner, kind of the guy who led the crew at whining, wouldn't show up. But just a tough duck. I mean, he's still in second in points, but just non-existent. I didn't hear his name Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Or excuse me, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Gosh, 4-day show. I can't handle it.
He was a whole lot more existent than Ricky Weiss and Scott Bloomquist.
Well, we got to talk about them. Yes, go ahead.
But hey, as far as T-Mac's win though, from 20th, right? So he didn't. It's not like he started up there and won. He charged through the field, and what I thought was really cool is Bloomquist didn't make the show. I didn't think that was cool. He needs to make the show, but he was up in the announcer's booth, and when T-Mac was battling for second, third, Bloomquist is like, they said, who's going to win? He said, T-Mac ain't done yet. So he was basically, he called out that T-Mac was going to win that race. So that was kind of a pretty neat deal there. Davenport, I got nothing on him. I don't know. I really don't. I mean, when he's on, I think he's a little bit of a head case. He's had some issues in life. So when his head's on, he's really good. When his head's off, he's way off on the deep end. I think maybe there's something going on there behind the scenes that maybe we don't know about, because I think he's kind of that emotional deal. So, when he's on his game, he's one of the fastest guys in the country in late models. And I'm just wondering if there's something more there that we don't know about.
Yeah, he's really cool, Bert. I mean, just cool. He's cooled off. He started the year like we thought he'd start the year. And then it's like he took the COVID break and he's never been able to rebound.
Yeah. And, it's hard to explain. Maybe there is something else going on, but I want to say, what difference does a chassis make? Just ask Hudson O'Neal. I mean, he couldn't do anything in a Masters built and left that ride, and they formed a ride with his girlfriend's parents, I believe, created a ride for him. And, he finished 5th on Wednesday night's race. And I can't remember where he finished in the North-South, but he qualified, and he was...
I think he got 7th.
I'm looking at 7th, correct. And, I mean, it just goes to prove, technology in this sport is, you can't be behind in technology. And for Masters Built to try to, get back into the chassis business on the national scene, wasn't going to happen overnight. And I mean, all of us know that Hudson O'Neal can drive a race car, and he proved that this last weekend.
Hey, Puka, I don't think Hudson O'Neal is the first one to maybe not have a ride and then all of a sudden get a ride from a girlfriend's parents, right? Doug Koski did that with Nesbitt, right? He married his daughter and he got in his second car. So,
I was going to say to you that I heard she's got a single sister and they're looking to start another team. I mean, you might want to make the call to Ohio.
I think I'm a little bit washed up. They're probably looking for somebody a little bit better than me, but yeah, that's pretty interesting. He did. I tell you, he actually looked like a race car driver again, which is good to see because it's good for the sport. He was struggling so bad in that Masters Built, but he looked good. I mean, I was impressed with Hudson O'Neal.
Yeah.
Hey,
So let's
and
get.
I see that they're going to be making a die cast of this new car too.
Do you know anybody that collects them at all, or?
So let's dig into this, Ricky Weiss. I mean, there was plenty on social media over the weekend, and just his qualifying. And I actually got some numbers, and we could kind of bring it into Bloomquist and Team Zero. Although McDonald didn't seem to have any trouble with his Bloomquist car, but I did some research. So Ricky, going back last week to Beaver Dam, he timed 11th in Group A, started 9th. Cedar Lake Thursday night for the complete show, he timed 9th in Group B, started the feature at 18th. CLS main event on Saturday night started 25th, ended up 6th. It was a hard charger that night. North-South 100 Thursday night starts 17th, ends up 3rd, so he does well. And then he's a no-show, for the main event. So, this is a guy that's fighting for a championship. This is a guy, did either of you pick, Ryan, did you pick him to win the World Outlaw points when we were kind of doing predictions earlier in the year? Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that, this is a guy that, hey, you weren't the only one, and I mean, he is second in points. He's not having a terrible year, but I think he's gone from contender to, well, we might not win it, but we're gonna pull ahead. We'll have third place distance from us to now. Kay Dillard's 48 points behind, breathing down his neck.
Well, Bert mentioned, wasn't it a couple weeks ago, Bert, that you mentioned that his qualifying times were terrible? They said that he was good, but he can't qualify. And what I've seen typically is if you're slow in time trials, you're usually too tight. And if you watch his car, their stuff is pretty snug. It doesn't rotate good. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. But, I mean, I got called out on Facebook when I mentioned on the show that Ricky Weiss is struggling. No, he ain't. He's been running good. Well, he's struggling. He didn't make the show. He is now struggling. Officially, he's struggling. He did win the non-qualifiers race, which gave him some gas money, but he's struggling. And Scott Bloomquist, I mean, not only did he not qualify for this race, but the 3 races at the Stream in Eldora, he didn't qualify for any of those either. And now he got called out. He gets to be one of I saw they put on Flow today, Bloomquist is in the mix. Is he going to qualify for them? Because he's been struggling too. So between those two, it's not like those two to not make the features. And there's some guys in that feature that I looked at it and I'm like, these guys are way better than them. So there's something with them cars. I'm telling you, they need, like Bert said, what a difference a car makes. Hudson O'Neal gets himself into a XR1 rocket bolted. You get Ricky Weiss into something that's working a lot better. Boy, I'd like to see how many wins he'd have.
Go ahead, Burton. When did you notice that he was struggling with the qualifying?
That was when I went to the Outlaw show at Seymour Speedway. He didn't qualify well there, but, I was able to watch him in his heat race. And, he raced well in his heat race and he made the feature and he charged through the feature. But when you don't qualify well, your back's against the wall and you just have to exert so much energy just to make he has a provisional to fall back onto if it's an outlaw event. But, you don't want to rely on that. You want to be starting up front if you want to get wins. And, if you're constantly starting, mid-pack, it can wear on you and the crew, always having to get the car ready and, charge from the mid-pack to the front.
Well, yeah, just like I said, obviously Bishop didn't finish at Cedar Lake. Just think if Ricky would have started 6th that night or 3rd that night and maybe got the win and just maybe start getting some momentum, because who knows, maybe Bishop's going to get off this hell tour and maybe he'll have some more bad luck, and if you could have put something together at Cedar Lake, maybe he could have really made a run at it. And like I said, he had a great race at Cedar Lake. Like I said, he went from 25th to 6th, but where did he get point-wise getting a 6th, finishing 6th? It was irrelevant.
And qualifying bad is really expensive because you start in the back and you got to work your way through the pack and you get your stuff tore up 10 times more. So they got to get some speed. They got to watch Days of Thunder and they need to be like, hey, we need to get some speed on this thing, right? And that's where they're at. They're just not fast. I mean, even at the USA Nationals, right? Both him and Bloomquist worked all the way to the front, but they weren't fast. Right? They got a lot by attrition. They were steady. They were patient. They got up there, but they never really looked fast. And that they're just lacking overall speed. And, hopefully they can figure that out because that was my pick. And even if he doesn't win the points, I want to see him win some races. So,
yeah. And the Droop rule, obviously not in effect down there in Florence. It was a Lucas race. So it just didn't, that's not maybe the factor that we've thought it has been all year.
Hey, did you see that tire from what was it, the first night or whatever, Jimmy Owens was leading. That was
Yeah.
the night Marlar won, I believe. Unbelievable. That thing just shredded. I mean, I've seen some tires come apart, but I don't know if he ran over something or if it just separated. I know that Wissota tires last year in the modifieds had a bad batch, and they were separating, and people were blowing the tread right off mod tires. So I'm wondering if maybe there was a bad batch or something that happened there. It'll be kind of – he was the only one, though. I didn't see anybody else over the weekend have that happen. So it'd be kind of interesting to see if he ran over something or if there was more to the story there.
It was funny. I was reading the recap story, and Owen said that he felt a vibration. It was vibrating pretty bad.
Yeah, that would do it for sure.
All right, fellas, we're ready to wrap up there, move up to the Midwest and Knoxville?
Well,
or you got some more there?
Yeah, I mean, you want to go to sprints, or you want to stick on late models just a little bit and talk about what happened out in South Dakota?
Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. We can start in South Dakota and we'll go to Knoxville.
Yeah, Tyler McDonald, okay? Now, I didn't realize this until today. My buddy Josh, he said, hey, Tyler McDonald's a rookie in the late model. I'm like, come on, he ain't no rookie in the late model. Well, last year, guys, he only raced 3 shows total in the mod. He didn't even race. I don't even know if he wants to race, but he won 3 in a row now at the Casino Speedway. He's bolted. And remember, he went to the USA Nationals, got 5th in both nights in the local, whatever you call it, the Wissota/NASCAR/local race. But he looked good and a hell of a race car driver. But one person that really kind of caught my attention, Morgan Ward. She got 2nd. Becker, who's been on top of our power rankings, he was a non-factor. He's like 5th, kind of flailing around. But if you watch that race on Dirt Race Central, she got into a little slide job fest there with Trevor Anderson. It was awesome. Trevor slid her. She crossed over, slid him back. I mean, they went slide job for slide job like a couple laps in a row. It was epic. She came out on top. She run 2nd in that deal. I'm telling you guys, she may be a chick, but she's a race car driver. She gets around that place pretty darn good.
Yeah, Casino is turning into the Fairbury of Wissota. I mean, it is, like you said, Ryan, it is an action track. And I'd love to see if they could daisy chain a way to get a Hell Tour race up there somehow. Maybe you'd have to come back and race in Owatonna and go a little bit, keep racing down I-90 and then find your way up there. But yeah, I did catch that race too, and it was awesome. And of course, my favorite part about Casino now, Ryan, is they got the B late models. So I'm going to be watching every week.
Well, here's the deal. You
didn't tell me what the real feature was.
You're already wearing a hat that'll piss off Hot Carl, right? You got that flat deal. You need to curve that deal. And now you're talking just silly. I'm going to talk to the wife, and I think you need to be cut off. You've been overserved. You're drinking a little bit too much, right?
My kombucha, yeah. All right, well, let's like I said, let's head a little bit east then to the Knoxville Speedway in Iowa, where the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars did their version of the Knoxville Nationals, which was, of course, a subdued version. What they call it? Some memorial race. I can't remember. Do you got it, Ryan?
I don't remember the name of it. I call it the Knoxville Nationals. I'm sick of this. Hey, the Knoxville Nationals for this year are canceled. No, they're not. They're just fanless. It's the same show. What are you talking about? Kind of like the World 100. I was arguing on Facebook with somebody. The 50th annual World 100 is canceled. No, it's really not. It's still the World 100. They're calling a different name. Like it can't be annual if it's next year, right? It's still annual is every year, not every other year. So, but yeah, it was still the Knoxville Nationals. It was still an epic event. They had a ton of race cars, and my buddy Carl, his brother's actually our sprint car expert on the show, right? And he says it don't matter how many cars are there. Kyle Larson's there, and he's right, king of the sprint cars, winning again. He's been absolutely bolted, and what's interesting, though, is the point battle, guys, with the World of Outlaws. Logan Schuchart, your new point leader. So he jumped in. Donnie Schatz laid an egg. I think he hurt an engine the final night, but came back out, made it through the B. He struggled mightily. He lost a whole bunch of ground. Less than 100 points, guys, separates the top 5.
That's incredible. Crazy. And that Logan Schuchart, he's not, from what I've heard, I mean, they're kind of, I mean, nobody in that level is low budget per se, but compared to some of those teams, I've heard that they're fairly low budget. Like they come to the track with one car. Schatz, how many does he have? At least 2? Maybe you got 3. Yeah. Can you fit three cars in one of those big semis? I don't know.
I'm sure he's got 3. Yeah. Probably for sure. But yeah, I tell you, Kyle Larson, guys.
Yeah.
honestly, thank you, NASCAR. Right? Thank you very much, NASCAR, for completely laying an egg and giving us the opportunity to watch him race real race cars. We get to watch him on dirt. I wouldn't watch him if he was in NASCAR because I don't watch it. It sucks. But I'm watching him in dirt, and he is unbelievable. I mean, he is a rare talent. There's some great drivers, but I'm telling you, he's a step above. And we, as dirt track fans, we've been pretty fortunate this year to be able to watch him. That's for sure.
Yeah, and then like you said, Shots laying an egg Thursday 22nd, Friday 11th, Saturday. He took the provisional. He didn't even make it out of the B and ended up finishing 12th. Bert, did you get to catch any of that sprint car stuff, or should we just?
No, I didn't see any of the sprint car action, so I can't comment too much on that.
All right, well, let's – go ahead.
You know, we'll just touch on this now. So the World of Outlaws, the sprint cars are going to Fargo Friday. I believe it's Fargo and Grand Forks. It's Friday,
Grand Forks Friday, Fargo Saturday, yes.
And is this maybe the turnaround for Shots, right? Because now he's kind of coming home. Right. I mean, it's kind of his home turf here, his home crowd, so to speak. So if there's a weekend where he can come in and get himself right back into the driver's seat in that points run, this might be it. So I'm excited to see that action this weekend.
Yeah, and I didn't realize he had motor troubles because it was just a couple of weeks ago when he had motor troubles. He was leading and coasted in, and then so now, and like I said, there was it One Dirt? There was an article about a week ago that came out in One Dirt. There's only two people that have those Ford engines, Shots and Stewart. That's it. And it's Durham that's building them. So they did an article, and I just kind of scanned some of it, but he talked, he couldn't say too much, but he talked a little bit about those engines, and maybe it's not the engine that we I think he launched it, I think, at Knoxville last year, and they finished off the year strong last year. But now this year, he's, like I said, he's had an off year. There's no question about it. But yeah, if there's a time for Donnie to get back on track, maybe he can come up north. Maybe he's in Bemidji right now, wetting the line. Maybe he's at Leech Lake. Maybe he's at Winnie. Get some fishing in, get relaxed for a couple days, pull in the Grand Forks, the whole he's going to have every fan, and then that's a fantastic race. That place will be sold out. There'll be 3,000 plus people there, quarter mile, slide job heaven. And then it's like the biggest week of racing in North Dakota for the year. They love their sprint cars out there. So like I said, Grand Forks Friday, Saturday, they'll head down to Fargo, another, jam grandstands. And let's hope Shots can right the ship here. All right. So also taking place on Friday, we have the aforementioned Dirt Kings. There's going to be an inaugural, it's called the Dairyland 50 down at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. And then they're also going to head over Saturday to Cedar Lake Speedway. Who wants to start on this one?
Well, first, I just want to say it's not a Dirt Kings race. It's Dirt King style rules.
Just Dirt King rules. Okay.
Yeah, Dirt King style rules. They're not Dirt King races. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. Okay. But they start at Mississippi Thunder. Mississippi Thunder, from what my understanding is, Mississippi Thunder and Cedar Lake are working together, trying not to schedule shows over the top of each other, and to schedule shows so drivers can go to both shows and just make it better for the drivers and the fans, which I salute them, because we need more of that in this industry. Mississippi Thunder, it's $5,000 a win for late models Friday night and $5,000 a win for modifieds. That's a huge show.
Cedar Lake is too.
Oh, mods also is 5,000 there. Okay.
Yep.
And now I know, Cedar Lake, they're going to be trying, restrictor plate for late models for open motors. So, that's new to them. So, I'm sure there's going to be some trial and error in figuring out, how to keep the cars competitive. But I think this is the way to go in the future. If you want car count, you're going to have to open up your races to more racing organizations, because you're just limiting yourself if you don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so you know, remember they had the month of money at Cedar Lake. It was $5,000 to win. They had the mod deal that rained out. The late model one rained out. So originally, a couple weeks ago, they had scheduled a Friday night. This Friday was going to be the mod show, and Saturday was going to be the late model show. Well, then they had a lot of cars that kind of intertwine. In Cedar Lake, they worked with, of course, Tyrone and Bob Tim down at Mississippi Thunder, and they said, well, hey, what are we doing here? Why don't we just work together and make this work? And that's how Mississippi Thunder decided, hey, we'll do $5,000 to win also on Friday. And I tell you, I'm hats off to them guys down at Mississippi Thunder. Of course, Cedar Lake too. But Mississippi Thunder has put themselves on the map this year. Yes, I mean, they have done some amazing things, but they also work so well with them other tracks. As far as restrictor plates, a lot of people already use them. See, and they use them as a tuning device. So, and that's where the restrictor plate, they've already been using that a lot more than people know, and they kind of already know how to kind of intertwine that in there. But, that restrictor plate deal, people put that in to kind of detune the car for the slick already. But I'm excited because that's going to be 2 stellar car counts, and there's going to be 2 races. Friday night is going to be on race and dirt. Saturday night's going to be on flow. I think it's on dirt /flow or whatever. So we can catch all the racing action from both of those. And there's some good money on the line. So super excited about racing, I guess, Eastern Wisconsin or Western Wisconsin, I guess I would say. So excited for that.
I gotta write that down, Ryan. I had no idea CLS was on Saturday night. Thank you.
Yep, it sure is. Now let's go ahead. Let's do late model picks really quick for this one. I'll let you guys pick. Just throw something out, Mississippi Thunder and Cedar Lake, because this is kind of like our wheelhouse. This is our upper echelon, in my opinion, WISSOTA type late model area here. So let's pick this one just for fun. Puka,
I'll go first.
Make Bert go first. We always make Bert go first.
Puka, we always make him go first. He's complained. So I'll go first. I'm going to take Dustin Sorensen because obviously he has a Dirt Kings win already down at Mississippi Thunder. And if you remember that second heat race, Bert, at the USA Nationals, where it was Eckert, Dustin Sorensen, Jason Round, maybe? They almost came 3 with a blanket, 3 across the finish line, and then Sorensen ended up sideways. So he, it took him a little bit, but he kind of got the kinks worked out on that thing. So I'm going to Dustin Sorensen. Go ahead, Bert.
He's won several features there already. I will take Jake Tim.
I'm going to take the X Factor, 7X. Glenz. He's I tell you, he's been on fire. He's got 3 in a row. Last year, if you remember, coming to invitational time, and this is kind of really the start of invitational time. There's some big shows rolling into September. He was on fire in September, so I'm taking Jesse Glenz as the guy to watch.
Ryan, you mentioned. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and actually this time I'm kind of excited because the guy that I picked is really going to be there. So that's a plus.
Well, you mentioned MTS and all the great things they have done, and I can't believe they have put themselves on the map. And it got me thinking, I haven't heard boo from Deer Creek. I mean, Deer Creek is a fantastic facility, and the Queenslands, everyone has said good things, and they've had big races. I think I asked you a month ago if they were even racing. There's just like no news coming out of there.
They had the Harris Clash there last week, the week before, but the biggest thing I heard all year about Deer Creek is it was for sale.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're right. There's just no news.
Yeah, Minnesota, I think they're having the Jamboree in September, so that's a big USMTS deal. They got the Fall Jamboree. I'm sure that's kind of their big show of the year. So they're really big. I mean, the Harris Clash was big, of course, but Deer Creek's biggest show is usually the Fall Jamboree.
Okay, well, good luck to both facilities. Like I said, hope for weather. And there is a chance, if we get some bad weather, I mean, there is a chance. I want to get to MTS. Of course, they're paying $1,000 for the Beat late models, and my buddy Joe Bravo down there. So, I just might have to make the trip. But if things were to work out and I could maybe hop in with somebody, there's a chance that Friday I might end up at MTS.
You know what's cool?
Saturday.
Here's what's cool, Puka, is I watched the Facebook Live today with Tyrone and Bob Tim. And they had $1,000 to win. I believe it was for the B late models this last week, right? It was $1,000 to win. And he jumped on there. He says, guys, I screwed up. Things didn't cooperate, didn't go well. The track sucked. So we're going to go ahead and do this again. And we're going to have another $1,000 to win show for you. Who does that? What track does that? What track jumps on and says, man, we laid an egg. Wasn't good racing. We're going to give you guys another shot to race for some money on a good racetrack. I'm just more and more impressed with these guys each and every week down there.
Yeah, not afraid to invest a little now for the future. Get a good reputation, get a good rapport with the drivers. All right, anything more on that, or are we going to move on to the 27th annual Comcast Topless 100?
Yeah, we can move on to that. There's a few more WISSOTA races, but we'll touch on them after the Topless. Lucas Oil race. Who do you got?
Go ahead, Bert. You're up first this time.
I'm going to stick with my Brendan Overton. I picked him at the North-South. He didn't quite do it, but I'll stick with him this week also.
Yeah, he's going to be strong. Ryan, you want to go next?
Yeah, my buddy Pete, his nephew, is actually our late model expert. And he told me last week, I picked B-Shep, okay? And I picked B-Shep last week. And he goes, hey, idiot. Like, I told you B-Shep wasn't coming. I told you he wasn't coming. Like, I'm like, oh, crap, I forgot, right? So, incidentally, B-Shep's not going to be there because he's going to be at a World of Outlaw race. Yeah. So, I take the O show. I'm taking Jimmy Owens.
Okay, yeah, and Jimmy Mars has 2 wins down there in his career at the top list, and, we don't know if he's going to show. Bloomquist leads all with 5, and like I said, he's going to be in Pennsylvania racing with the World of Outlaws. I'm going to go with a little bit of a dark horse pick, a guy that's had some top 5s lately. Looks like he ran well there last year, Josh Richards. I'm going to pull a dark horse here. So those of you that are dirt drafters, you might want to get Josh Richards. He's been in the mix just a little bit lately, and like I said, had a pretty decent run there. I would fade Turbo and I'd fade JD. I mean, I think Turbo's rattled, and like I said, JD, Ryan, you already talked. He definitely is rattled, but I'm going to go with a little bit of a dark horse in Josh Richards.
I think Josh Richards has the most flat tires in the year in the Lucas Oil Series. I think he's had a bunch
of those. Probably have 3 more wins if he didn't have all those.
He would. I mean, so he's been fast. I'd say he's due. So there were some good picks. That'll be exciting to watch, of course. And what else you got? What's going on with the World of Outlaw late models this week?
Yeah, where are they? In Pennsylvania, right? I know that when I spoke with Rick Eckert, I'll real quick here, Bert, I know that he said he was going to hit that run when they came out there. Go ahead, Bert.
I was just going to say, I can't remember what tracks they're at, but there's 3 straight races in Pennsylvania. One of them is at Lincoln. I know that because I was reading on the dirt today, and Lincoln Speed, if B-Shep wins at Lincoln in Pennsylvania, he'll have race wins at 2 tracks named Lincoln in 2 different states, because he won at Lincoln last night or the night before.
Yeah. So it's Lincoln, Williams Grove, and Erie's, E-R-I-E-Z.
Erie?
Yeah, they have a Z on it for some reason. But,
all right.
I know. Go ahead.
Who's your pick?
Rick Eckert just won 2 races. He won 2 races this weekend. These are, somewhat local for him. And I'm going to keep an eye on Eckert. Like I said, he second place at USA Nationals, 2 wins this weekend. He's figured something out. He'll be sleeping in his own bed. I'm going with Rick.
It seems like I'm always picking the favorites or the well-known drivers. So I'm going to go with Cade Dillard.
Oh, good.
I was going to go that direction because I figured you were picking B-Shep. Now, I picked B-Shep last week, which was ill-advised because he wasn't going. I will pick B-Shep this week because if you guys aren't going to take him, how do you pick against him? So, Rocket won.
Yeah. So, what's going on with that Street Stock Series this week, Ryan? They finally going to wrap her up?
Yeah, we got the season finale this Sunday night, Cheyenne Speedway, Lisbon, North Dakota. And 2 points separates Eric Riley from Johnny Carter. Of course, this is Johnny Carter's home track, right? So there is a rare situation in there where they could end in a tie. They might have a tiebreaker. But I'm telling you guys, we talk about late models all the time. This Street Stock Tour has been amazing. I talked to Benji here with Dirt Race Central. I actually did an interview with them, and they've just done such a great job, not only with that series, but also at the Cheyenne Speedway. So that's going to be on Dirt Race Central. Watch DRC.TV next Sunday night. Stepha's Street Stock Series finale at the, Cheyenne Speedway in Lisbon.
Yeah. All right. Anything more to preview?
Yeah, we got a bunch of late model racing going on. I mean, literally, we have had – it seems like every week there's like a few in Wisconsin and nothing over here, or a couple in North Dakota and everything in Wisconsin's gone. So I'm looking at that. Of course, we got all the National Series stuff. We got Mississippi Thunder and Cedar Lake. But then South Dakota has Aberdeen Friday. Huron is racing Saturday. They didn't race there for a couple of years. Sunday back to Casino. So there's 3 nights of racing there. Then Grand Rapids on Thursday, Superior Friday, Hibbing on Saturday. 3 races there. Then you go the other direction. The NLRA Series has Ada Thursday, Grand Forks Friday, over to Jamestown on Saturday. So if you're looking at kind of the whole map of our power rankings, plus Bert can touch on whatever's going on in eastern Wisconsin, there's a pile of late model racing. Things could really shake up in the power rankings this week. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it'll be a big week for that. Bert, you got anything special going on over there?
Not late model wise. late model wise, it's all the regular stuff. But this week on Wednesday and Thursday is the Captain of the Creek, which is $5,000 a win for the IMCA Sport Mod division at 141 Speedway. So 141 Speedway has 5,000 win shows for modified stock cars and sport mods throughout the year, and it's a sport mods this week running for $5,000.
Jeez, pretty good payday there.
Them guys will kill each other for $5, let alone $5,000. So
And 141 Speedway is where I sent you that video this morning where that driver did it was like a wrestler flying off the top rope onto the hood of the race car, and then he climbed up on the roof of the race car and was jumping on it. So it must have been something in the air in eastern Wisconsin this last weekend.
You Packer fans are crazy.
All right. Good on the previews, or we got any more?
No, I think we're good. We got a lot of exciting racing happening. I'm just excited to get to it.
All right. Yep. So we'll move on to the last lap segment where we have one to go. So many of you might have seen and I talked to a woman who has some relatives down in Iowa, those storms that came through last week. And according to her, she has family down there. They just, there were no warnings 8 hours earlier or 4 hours. It was just like, we're just going to have a storm. And then these tornadoes whipped up, and Marshalltown seemed to have gotten kind of the brunt of the blow there, Ryan.
Hometown Ryan Gustin, right? So that's going to lead me. I'm going to back up a little bit here, right? Because so first of all, Ryan Gustin, his car is owned by TriStar Engines and Transmissions. He owns that whole team. TriStar Dave owns that whole team. And Gustin started racing some late model stuff, right? And then all of a sudden, bam, where's Ryan Gustin? He wasn't racing, right? He just fell off the map. He wasn't racing. So he went down, I think it was Kansas. I think he was down at a friend's shop. They were getting ready for a race. The guy's shop started on fire. Right, so he burnt up a race car. He burnt up another one. So then they weren't able to race. He had to load them up. They had to head out. I think he has rockets, doesn't he? So they had to head out and get the cars all redone. So that's the first thing that happened. Then he gets the stuff back, and they go to race the Hell Tour. Their plan was to race the Hell Tour. Well, I don't know if you noticed, but they were there for a few shows, and then bam, he was gone. Right? Did you notice that?
Yeah.
COVID. He came down he got COVID. So he was gone for a week. He come back, and I talked to TriStar Dave, and he says, holy crap, we were all with him. Everybody got tested. He was quarantined for 2 weeks. They all were. And, Ryan Gustin came down with COVID. He was laid up. He was pretty sick, not hospitalized or on his deathbed. So then he was just getting ready to go back on the Hell Tour, and that's when them straight line wins, all that came through Marshalltown. And all his stuff was okay, but it just ransacked the whole town. So Gustin says, you know what? We haven't raced a tour. We're not in the points. And he just decided, I'm gonna take a few days off here, and I'm gonna go help the people that I know. So hats off to the Reaper, because he could have just said, screw it, I'm going racing, but he kept his stuff parked, and he spent days helping people pick up and clean up crews and all that. So hats off to Gustin for really being a public service instead of thinking about himself. So that kind of makes me a little bit more of a Reaper fan right there. Plus, he's a mod guy anyway.
Yeah. Good luck to everyone at the track there. Hope they can get back to racing soon. Light poles torn down and everything. And, just a crazy storm, kind of a turn of events there. Bert, we know now officially the punishments for Turbo Tyler, Herb, and Bobby Sr. Pierce.
Yeah, Herb got a 1-year suspension, and Bob Sr. got a 30-day suspension, I believe, from World of Outlaw and Dirt Car Series events. So, we figured it was gonna, there's gonna be penalties thrown out there. So, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, and Turbo, it's not automatically come back. They're going to review it after a year, right, Ryan?
Where is the World Racing Group located?
North Carolina?
Right. What else is in North Carolina as far as big racing organizations? I think there's beginning to be too much of a similarity here between World Racing Group, World of Outlaw, and NASCAR, because this is bullshit, is what this is. What he did was wrong. Absolutely. But my goodness, it's good for the sport. In a sport where fan counts are down, tracks are trying to make money, we need more personalities, they suspend a guy for a whole entire year. Come on. They should give the guy a free pass to come back the next week and say, hey, come back and let's promote this whole deal because it's good for racing. Now, did he need to have some kind of a fine, maybe a little suspension? Absolutely. What he did was wrong, and there needs to be consequences for it. But suspending a guy for the whole year, I think that's a big fail on World Racing Group, because I've seen people do a whole lot worse than that and get a whole lot less punishment. And it's just a bad deal. And then Bobby Pierce's dad, I think, would he get a $1,000 fine and 30-day suspension or whatever it was? Whatever. I mean, yeah. Bobby Pierce don't give a crap. I mean, whatever. But what I thought was more interesting was Mama Bear.
You want to touch on Mama Bear?
Well, I mean, obviously there may have been a little bit of liquid courage, liquid stupidity, but yeah, they had a little bonfire going on there, and she had a Turbo Tyler Erb shirt, and she started getting lippy, and you know, I think I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Erb talked about how good they build their cars at Pierce, right? Yeah. Because he hits everything. Well, whoever builds Tyler Erb shirts, I mean, they do a hell of a job because that thing wouldn't even turn. So I mean, so they got fire retardant T-shirts. But yeah, she got pretty lippy. She was pretty sauced up. Bobby Pierce, I don't know him from Adam. He's fun to watch, but he's a windshield wiper. He was not very impressed with Mom with that whole deal. But it just more drama to the mix right there. But again, that's good for the sport because Puka, we've been going to the racetrack, same tracks for a long time, right? Same tracks. We both grew up in the same town. Well, if we grew up, right? So I know racing moms that would have done exactly the same thing. I'm not going to say anything on the air because I'm not going to let my phone ring off the hook. But I saw that. I'm like, that just reminded me of a few different people. I'm like, oh, wow, I could absolutely see that happening. But at the end of the day, it's ratings. It's good for the sport. That draws people's attention. So all these penalties and all that stuff, yeah, I get it. But at the end of the day, they want more ratings. They want more sponsorship dollars. Quit making this so commercialized. We're not politically correct. We're dirt track racers. We ain't politically correct. I mean, let's have a free-for-all. In fact, you know, I would like to see a pay-per-view with basically you get Mama Pierce and Tyler Erb in the ring boxing, and then it'd be like WWE coming out of the crowd would be Pierce's sister to kick both their asses.
Yeah, right. She'd be the referee. Yeah, she'd be a hell of a one. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. You're not really
good stuff. That's a ticket.
And you're not even punishing Tyler Erb per se because he's just on a Lucas tour. So it's not like Lucas, you know what I mean? It's not like NASCAR where, yeah, what are they going to do? You know, I mean, he's going to go race everywhere else and he's going to break local stuff.
Here's a question for you. Because it's not a World of Outlaw event, right? The deal at Eldora?
Yeah, the Intercontinental Classic.
Did he get an invite?
Well, the show is actually going on. The selection show is going on right now as we're recording. But I don't think he can, right? Because it's
wrestling, right? They got the Intercontinental belt, yeah. So maybe he gets the Intercontinental belt at that. But I don't think that's a WRG event or UMP. I think it's a non-sanctioned deal. So he was gonna miss, right? He would if the World 100 had to happen, he would have had to miss that. Correct?
Yeah, that's my understanding, Bert. Isn't it a World Racing Group event? It's UMP, isn't it?
He was going to miss World of Outlaw WRG, which is World Racing Group, which is World of Outlaws, okay,
yeah. And
UMP Dirt Car Series, which is the Hell Tour. So he was going to miss those. But isn't the World 100? Isn't that a World of Outlaws event?
No, I don't think so.
I thought it was I thought it was a World Racing Group event. I thought they used UMP rules. I could be wrong. I know at one time it was UMP rules for sure, but that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I think they have some affiliation with UMP stuff. So
I think he's out for that.
I thought it was on the World of Outlaws schedule, but I could be wrong. We'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah,
we'll have to check that out.
Okay. All right, Ryan. So you wanted to mention some stuff on the Legendary?
Well, you know, there's two different formats. Of course, the Wissota 100 is canceled, right? Yeah. So I talked to Don Shaw. They're going to have a King of Dirt, which is kind of a big invitational they have over there, but they're going to have a King of Dirt. So the question is, where's everybody going to go? Are they going to go to the Legendary or are they going to go to the King of Dirt? I have not yet heard. I don't believe he's announced the whole format for the King of Dirt yet. It's supposed to be some pretty big pay, but they're not all the announcements are out. But Cedar Lake, I mean, this is right up your alley, Puka. 10 classes of cars, right at the Legendary.
Start on Tuesday.
Well, they're doing the format, that as a fan, I just hate it, right? They're doing group time trials, and then they're going straight up out of the time trials to qualifying features. They're not running heats, B's, features. They're doing time trials into a qualifying feature is what they're doing, and then they're taking like the top 6 or whatever out of that for the A main. I don't know. I think that I just don't know with that whole format. It'll be interesting to see where people go. I was hoping that I-94 had their format out today, but the more people I talk to, and I've talked to several of them, it seems like a ton more people are really looking at heading to I-94. So that's going to be the place to be, and I'm going to be down there with Dirt Race Central. We get to Jabberjaw and Victory Lane a little bit to talk to some drivers and have a little fun down there. So I'm looking forward to getting to that, but we should know by the next show what the format is for I-94.
Oh, and I'm just so frustrated that Knoxville moved to that. The Knoxville Late Model Nationals moved to that weekend, because you can stream all that. And then Knoxville, I just wish Knoxville would push back into October, almost October. It used to be the Ashland weekend. So there's just so much racing. It's like, what do you do that weekend? So, all right. And then to wrap up here, Ryan, you Platinum Promotions has put together a little point fund, or actually a really good, I shouldn't say a little point, but a really good point fund for Labor Day weekend up here in northern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin.
Yeah, we're super excited about that. Typically, the Labor Day swing, which is the Silver 1000 at Proctor, the Wissota Classic at Rapids, Hibbing Labor Day Shootout, is all Wissota Late Model Challenge Series stuff. So you get all the Challenge Series guys coming up and follow that, but there is no Challenge Series this year. So, kind of wondering, it's like, is everybody coming? It's like, what are they doing? So we decided to put together a point fund for the late models, paying the top 10. And it's going to be the TriStar Engines and Transmission Late Model Series presented by Quality Freight Rate. And it's going to be $2,000 to the winner, 4 shows. Okay, there's 4 complete shows, all paying good, $3,000, $3,500, and a pair of $2,000 to win shows. But it's going to be $2,000 to the point champ over the 4 nights, $1,500, $1,000, 8765432. And talked to several late model guys. I know they're excited to come up. I talked to the 7X. He said he's in. So we're definitely excited for late model racing up in the northern region, because it's not all Minnesota now because you got Ashland in there, but up in the northern region over Labor Day weekend.
Well, Bert, I expect you to go hand to hand with all your Dirt Kings guys and say, hey, have you seen that point fund that Ryan Aho put together? You better head west Labor Day weekend. You hop a ride and you come see us.
I would love to get them. I'm going to talk to Anvilink actually, and I'm going to see if any of them guys that got Wissota motors might come over. I mean, I don't know.
It's a heck of a point fund for 4 races.
Yeah, Bert, what's going on over in your direction there over Labor Day weekend? Is there specials on Labor Day weekend, or just regular racing, or what do they got?
Just regular racing. That would be the final week of racing at Shawano Speedway. I'm not sure if Plymouth is racing that night or not. I'm pretty sure Plymouth has another Dirt Kings race coming up on its schedule, but as far as I know, there's no special schedule for that weekend for late models.
I'm going to call up Anvilink and see if I can get him over. And I'm going to also find out, I don't even know if he has a Wissota motor or what, but I'm going to see who all has Wissota engines in, because I remember back, Puka, and so do you, back in the day, we used to get MJ McBride. We used to get Pete Parker. Ray Tennant came over. So we used to get some of them guys coming over, and I loved it, right? And Ray Tennant,
oh, yeah.
Remember Ray Tennant?
I do not.
Oh, man. Where's he from?
Where's he?
Was he an Iowa guy, or was he or I thought he was an Eastern Wisconsin guy. 76. The only reason I remember him was I was a little kid, and he came over to my dad's house and worked on his car at the shop. I became a fan. But I used to love getting them out-of-town guys from Eastern Wisconsin coming over. So hopefully we can maybe get a few people to travel in for that. And really quick, before I'm done, I do want to give a shout-out. Last year, Wissota Superstock National Rookie of the Year, Kyle Kopp. He was a Rookie of the Year last year. He got his first ever feature win in the Superstock. Just wanted to give him a quick shout-out. Good job, Kyle, over at the ABC Raceway.
All right, awesome. Go ahead, Bert.
I just wanted to ask, we didn't talk about it last week because it was all USA Nationals, but what was the winner's share of the Little Dream compared to last year?
It was up. I think last year was $25,000, and this year Nick Trainer $26,000. $26,000 richer. And it's like, man, did he pay off his tire bill? I mean, what did he do with that deal? I mean, 26,000. Most of the street stocks aren't worth 26,000. I mean, that's a really cool event. Rice Lake Speedway, FY Motorsports helps put that deal on, and it's just become a tradition in Wisconsin for street stocks. But I thought with the COVID deal and all that stuff, we're like, there's no way it's going to be more. But they did it. They got it up 26,000. That's nuts.
Yeah, I think we all took the under on that.
We did. We did.
Yeah, COVID. That's why. Wow, that is amazing. Congratulations. And yeah, keep that one going. And like I said, they keep moving it closer and closer to the USA Nationals. You just never know who's going to end up putting a helmet on and racing a street stock might live in Ohio or might live in Tennessee or might live in Florida or might live in North Carolina if they keep bumping that thing up. So, all right, fellas. Well, I think that's about it. I got to get cranking here. We're ready to roll?
I just want to say one thing. This is for Ryan, first day of training camp, or of practice, I should say.
You know,
he was really cutting out there, Polka. I didn't hear what he said.
All right, race fans. Well, thank you once again for joining us. As always, if you can get on, subscribe, even share the program. We appreciate that. We've talked about that in the past, so just kind of how this whole thing goes as far as getting ratings and keep us going. And we'd like to thank, again, Weir's Machine for coming on board, weir'smachine.com. Like I said, if you talk to the great folks at Weir's Machine, especially Chad, make sure you thank him for coming on board and supporting the One to Go show. Get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the One to Go show. Pause or stop, Ryan? Does it matter?
Stop.
Okay.
Stop recording.
Do you want to stop cloud recording? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.